Welcome everyone, today we have a new guide for Diablo 4. In this video, we'll look into Diablo 4 crafting into a lot of details. We'll be going through the early game, mid game and also late game crafting. And as you guys can see behind me, I have written a lot of notes and all the experience, all the tricks I have in the beta and also before the launch. We'll also go with a lot of new tricks and also method to be crafting secret and also ancestral gears. And this will give you a massive power boost after level 25. After level 50 and also after level 70, including plus skill ranks to a lot of skills, and also what items can roll what categories of skills. And this will provide you guys with more information and also more advanced crafting, which is going to be very important in the late game. Now, similar to all of our videos, you can find the notes and also guides in the links below. So I have written those for you guys for more description. And as we go through the notes, what you're going to notice is there's actually multiple layers to Diablo 4 with crafting. We'll go through the basics, then we'll go through what to do on the first day and also first week of crafting for Diablo 4 after the launch. And then we'll go into the more advanced crafting and also more tips. Now, I'm sure you guys know, we can be crafting at the blacksmith, we can be crafting at the jeweler, and also the occultist. So those are the three crafting NPCs that's available in the game. And in case you guys are wondering how to use those, NPCs and how to craft correctly, I do really recommend coming over to this video that I crafted during the beta. This video explains everything in a lot of more details. And this will give you guys an overview of the basics and also additional tips of how to craft those wizards NPCs. So definitely have a look at this one if you guys want to know the basics of crafting. And we'll still go through this in this video as well, but not as detailed. So right away with the blacksmith, you can be upgrading your gears, and this includes the weapons and also your equipments. This doesn't include accessories. Now, since the change of the open beta in the server slam, the gold cost of crafting is much lower. So you can see over here, the cost of crafting is just 10 basic materials and also 400 gold for the chest. And this is the case for the weapon too. So at the very early stage of the game, if you guys want a bit of damage boost and a bit of early upgrades, you can upgrade your weapon 1 to 2 times. This will cost you like 800 gold, and this will give you 10 to 15% boost of damage. Now, we can also use a similar method for crafting at the jeweler. And of course guys, if you are socketing at the jeweler, you want to be aware, because in order to socket, you want a world boss loot, and this can be a little rare at the early stage of the game. And the crafting stats upgrade will probably give you maybe 10 to about 5% upgrade each time you upgrade those. And you can see during the server slam, I was able to upgrade most of my gears. My focus will be upgrading my weapon and then followed by my equipment and also my accessories. Now, of course guys, we don't want to be spending too much gold in terms of upgrade, because in the first day or the first week of the game, likely you'll be switching a lot of gears. So I recommend upgrading the gears maybe 1 or twice at the blacksmith and also at the jeweler if you plan to keep this weapon for a little bit while. We'll talk about keeping those weapons too. Now, it's quite important to know that we can be getting 2 sockets on the weapon, the chest and also the pants, but we cannot be getting any sockets on the gloves and also the boots. And depending on the socketing of the items, whether it's a jewelry, a weapon or a defensive gear, you'll have special effects with the sockets of the gems. We'll have a guide on the best gems for each of the categories, but if you guys are going for a Thorns build, then having 2 sockets on the gear is going to be massive for the early game. You can be asking your friend to give you all the socket gems and then using the sockets to craft your Thorns build and to be really strong in the early game. Now, so we come over to the Occultist. I'm sure you guys have tried, or if you haven't tried Occultist, definitely check out this previous video. We talk about this in a lot more details. Now, one thing I do want to highlight with Occultist is most of us are trying to craft with Occultist with a rare item. But in case you guys didn't know, you can always craft new aspects or codex onto the Occultist with, onto the legendary weapon, with 1 additional affix. So most of the gears, notice this one over here, this is a rare gear that is crafted into a legendary. It only has 3 affix over here, and this is a legendary affix, right? And if you have a look at this one, this is a naturally drop 4 affix legendary, so it has 1 additional stats. So what does this mean is, if you're actually finding a legendary gear and the legendary gear didn't give you the right skill or the right boost of legendary effect, you can still craft on top of this one with a new codex or aspects, and this will replace the old one. So having 1 additional extra affix base with a legendary is going to be really good in the early, mid or late game, and it's very important that we know this. Now, I'm sure some of you already know those, but bear with me guys, and use the timestamps if you want to skip a little forward, but I want to cover all the basics and also important tips for the players in the early game, mid game and also late game. So the next part is, if you're looking at the 2-hand weapon crafting, you'll be gaining 200% more effects of the legendary codex and also aspects. So here the previous roll on the bow over here is 10 to 20% more additional damage with the skills, and here on the two-handed weapon this will provide itself with 20 to 40%. So the weapon will provide 200% more buffs to your legendary powers. Now there are actually some classes that can abuse this particular method, and the special classes will be rogue and also barbarians. How do you do this is, the trick is you find a two-hand weapon with a decent roll. So what I mean by decent roll is you find a weapon with a decent FX rolls over here, and then we'll be crafting onto this two-handed weapon because it has some good FX rolls. And this weapon doesn't have to be really high damage. After the legendary effect is crafted on the weapon, then we'll be using the option and also functions to use another weapon. For the rogue, this will be a melee weapon, and for the barbarian, this can be another two-hand weapon or one-hand weapon. And this allows our core spells to be activated by another weapon, while gaining the 200% bonus from the weapon that we're crafted on. So this weapon will be a placeholder for the legendary effects, gaining all the bonus effects, while the other stronger weapons we acquire during the fight as we level up, we'll be using those weapons to deal more damage. Now a special tip over here for barbarians, because you can have a lot of weapons for different type of skills, you really want to use the middle mouse button when you open the skill selection tree, and when you press the middle mouse button, you'll be switching which weapon to be used on active spells. And this is very important if you go with your specializations and also provide yourself with higher weapon stats. Because it could be some weapons that deals 200 damage. You could have a two-hand weapon that deals 400 damage. And this also goes even further because some weapons like the sword will provide you with more bleeding effect and also more damage. And yes guys, if you're wondering about the specialization for Barbarian, we'll talk about this in more details in the upcoming Barbarian guide. Now, similar to crafting the two-handed weapon, all the classes, not just rogue and also barbarians, can enjoy a massive boost of 150% more effect with legendary effects if they're crafted onto the amulets. So one thing about amulets is that we should be looking for amulets that provide us with at least +1 skill rank before level 25. And after level 25 with the items, you can be getting some godly rolls on amulets, and we'll talk about the advanced crafting very soon on this part. So getting a +2 rank on entire tree section for the 4th and also the 5th skill tree equals to getting at least 6 to 12 free skill points. So giving you guys an example over here, you can see here I was running my companion, and with my companions I got a jeweled amulet that +1 to all the companion skills. Because I will be using all my companions, this is wonderful. And one thing you guys can see over here, notice this is saying 150%. In the legendary codex, you will say this is 100%, but it's boosted by 150% because it's crafted on the amulet. Now, I do have a special tip I want to share with you guys, is that if you go to the option of the game, and if you turn on the short FX rolls with advanced menu, you can see the rolls of your legendaries. So this one can roll from about 113% to 150%. You can see they actually got the top roll of this legendary effect. And this is quite important, because if you do get a god tier legendary roll, you might not want to craft on an item too soon. You might be saving this one for level 40 plus or even 50 plus. So what that means is, you want to be checking the rolls of the legendary effects. We need to know that if you extract the legendary effects from the original legendary, it can only be crafted once. You cannot extract the effect from an imprinted item. So if you craft onto one item, you can't recycle this one and craft this onto the next item. So notice this effect I have over here. Once it's crafted on this, back then it was a rare amulet, it's now legendary amulet. Once it's crafted on the amulet, this effect is permanent there. It cannot be changed onto something else. Now, as we get into more advanced crafting, what you're going to notice is that gears with higher grid will appear after level 50, and gears with even higher grid will appear after level 70. So those are the normal ones, the secret gear and also ancestral gears. And those gears plays a massive part into the late game crafting and also advanced crafting system. So as for your reference, we have a previous video to talk about this one. Definitely have a look at this video, guys. It's really detailed, and I did a lot of good work and understanding and sharing about the endgame item gears. So, as a brief summary, level 1 to level 340, this is between level 1 to level 25 item level, you will get 1 skill rank for any of your gears. And after that, level 25 to level 50, you start to get gears that provide 2 skill ranks. And once you get to secret item, which is after level 50 with world 3, you start to get +3 skill ranks. And finally, after level 70 with world tier 4, you start to get +4 skill ranks. And the minimum roll of the skill ranks is now 2 to 4, which is going to be really powerful. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates, and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4. So here on this section, we'll start looking into the advanced crafting and also endgame crafting tricks and also methods for Diablo 4. So right into the mid-game and also endgame, you start to get to level 50 or 70. We should start to look for blue items, magical items, that rolled into the secret grade. And that's after level 50. And we do the same case for level 70. We start to look for blue item that rolled into ancestral grade. So if you guys remember in one of the interviews and also live streams, developers purposely mentioned about this. They said those gears are meant to be found after level 50 and also 70 to give you guys a higher grade boost. And this allows us to have a higher power up during the early stage of the late game and also mid game. And they really did stress this out. They wanted to make the itemization so that instead of selling those magical items, we shouldn't be selling or salvaging them. We should be looking at them first to see the grade level. And the next part, very soon, I'll show you guys the trick of crafting into a really good skill point. So it is very important for us to understand that different pieces of the gear can give you plus skill rank to different pieces of the skill tree. So the example we have is that usually you guys can notice that gloves tend to give you a skill rank from 1 to 4 with the ranking of all the core spells. And one thing you want to notice is, yes, you can roll multiple skill ranks on the entire tree with amulets. So this is a godly amulet I had in open beta. So notice this one plus 1 rank to all the corpse spells, and also 1 rank to all the macabre spells. And this was crafted with a blood mist. Back then was really OP, right? Now one thing to notice, guys, I was looking at this amulet when I got it at level 15. This is a level 7 amulet. So you really don't want to be selling your amulets too early. You want to look at it to see what ranks you get and to see if it's worth keeping for later crafting. And now we come over to the more advanced crafting guide for Diablo 4. So here you can see that for the amulet, there's a lot of ways to get multiple skill trees and multiple sections. So it's always good to check amulets. But what about the other pieces? So if you guys remember in the previous videos, we actually have talked about this in more details, and I did make it Excel. And those are the information I gathered during the beta and also, before the launch of the game. We'll be updating this one. Now, just as a summary, because each class have different trees, right? Some class have mobility, some class have agility, other class have, weapon mastery. So we'll be using the reference for the, the fourth, the second skill tree, the defense skill tree, and also the third skill tree. You can see different pieces of the gears can roll onto different trees, and this is especially important. So once we know that what we can roll into those, gear levels with the Occultist, with the enchantment, what you want to do is, for the early game, you try to find a level 25 plus rare item with some decent stats. And then what you do is, you roll on one of the worst affects, and through the enchantment at the Occultist, we're trying to roll into the skills that you wanted to plus, and you're trying to roll into a plus 2 skill level. And if you do find a plus 2 skill level for your, for your gear, let's say if you're going with a core spell, and the core spell is Whirlwind, if you roll into a plus 2 skill level for Whirlwind, you're gaining 20% more damage. So this is one way you start to consider crafting this gear with legendary artifacts or the codex. Now this can be a really good method if you guys find an amulet and roll this method. Because let's say if I find an amulet and I roll into the corpse spells and also maybe macabre spells plus 2 after level 25. So this is level 7 amulet, right? So the first thing you do in the early game is you try to roll amulets to see if you get a plus 2 on those gears. And if you do, this will be amazing, right? So I really don't recommend auto-selling and auto-salvaging items after level 25. Because certain items, if you roll on them once, you can be surprised with a power boost. Now it is very important to stress out, guys, it is very costly to reroll additional times after the first reroll on the enchantment with Occultist. So don't waste too much of gold, especially before level 50 and level 25. This is just a tip. If you get once or twice, if you get lucky with amulets, you're pretty strong, right? And if you do come to the mid and also late game, so level 50 plus or level 70 plus, you start to look for secret and also ancestral grade items which are blue or red items. And then we'll use the same method. We'll try to see if we can roll on a plus skill rank for the amulet for plus 3 skill rank for everything. Or maybe a plus 4 skill rank after the ancestral grade. And those amulets can be a blue amulet, you can roll on those as well. So here's my ultimate tip for the endgame and also mid-game. It is much more likely if we force our way into getting some good stats by rolling onto them. Let's say if you get an amulet and it doesn't have those plus skill rank, most people will just sell it or salvage it. But if you roll on this once and if you get a really good skill point, this will be amazing, right? So the key is, not only we can find items naturally as they drop on those rolls, you can be forcing to roll into a good stat, especially if the item is going to be secret or ancestral grade, and this is much for the late game. But of course guys, remember, after the first roll, things will cost a lot more gold. Usually I do 1 or 2 rolls, then I stop. So to summarize this method, what you want to do is, you want to be finding amulets and see if you can roll on those with a +2 after level 25, and a +3 after level 50 with secret grade, and +4 onto level 70 with ancestral grade. For the other pieces of the gears, I have a bit of reference for you guys. You can see what those gears can roll into. Now for the gloves, it cannot roll into utility skills, and similarly for the boots, it cannot roll into core spells. So this is your reference, and I'll be work in progress on this one, updating this for you guys. Now we do have Excel from one of my viewers from HalfMind, but I couldn't find Excel. His one is more detailed. I'll be asking him for the Excel, and if he has this one, I'll work with him together to provide you guys with more information of what you can roll and also what you can craft. Now hopefully this video is clear enough and not too confusing for you guys. I try to break it down into segments, early game, mid game, and also advanced tips. I try to share everything with you guys. If you do find that you're not understanding a bit, do come back to this video guys. It really helps explaining the basics. And if you still find, crafting a little confusing, don't worry too much. There will be perfectly ready legendaries and uniques for you guys once you get to the late game. World 3, World 4, you can get those crazy legendaries that gives you +4 to everything. So those are the best in slots, uniques, right? So don't worry too much if crafting is too difficult. I'll make more guides for you guys and step-by-step process and share with you guys what to do. And we're also looking into farming uniques. Yes, there can be ways to farm a targeted unique through certain events, through certain chests, and through gambling. We'll talk about this very soon. So let us know in the comments guys, what do you think about my crafting guide, and what are the recommendations and what are the things you want to learn with crafting. Because I have been doing so much crafting when I was playing the beta, and I was able to get so many good items simply because I look into them and I roll onto them. And if you guys do have any tips and also advice for crafting, let us know in the comments as well. Now before you go, and if you guys didn't know, we have a new YouTube channel. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and check out the behind the scenes and also fun clips and also more stories about us. And then you get to know me a little more personally instead of just reading the news and also the games, right? So I want to share a little bit more with you guys. So make sure you check this channel out if you're interested about Matt and also Uni. She's really funny too, and she's really shy. So I want to give her a surprise and do a shout out for the new channel to get some subscribers. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time.